Hello and welcome back to Gowerton Parkway. Now you notice that the camera is in front of an area of the layout that you've seen before. This is the station. You would have seen this on the main layout tour that I did as the very first video for the channel. Now some of the feedback that I've had around that first video was that people would like to see a little bit more in depth the different areas of the layout. So I'm going to do a more extensive layout tour, but this time I'll break it into a series of videos for each section of the layout. Now, as you know, this layout's already been completed, so at the point when I created the channel and started to make videos, there wasn't actually much that I could do in the way of updates and keep you posted on how I made things for the layout. So this video is going to serve as a purpose of taking you through some of the techniques that I've been through to build this layout, and I'm going to start off here with the station. So the main focal part of any station on a model railway is obviously the platforms. I'm going to quickly talk you through how I made these platforms. These platforms are made out of plasterboard. So it's two sheets of plasterboard layered on top of each other. They've been edged with Pico platform edging. Now I attached this to the bare plasterboard with super glue. The whole assembly was then put together, taken downstairs where the painting was done. All I did to paint this was use a Humbrol sea grey, I think it's sea grey, navy grey, something like that, rattle can. Just gave the whole lot a base coat of paint. I then brought in this white edging on the capping stones part just to define the edge of the platform and give it a bit more of a prototypical look. So that was basically how the platforms went together. The end part of the platform here, this was particularly annoying to do, if I'm honest. What I did to get the slope was to use sheets of cardboard, gradually built up the slope, and then over the top of that I layered a bunch of polyfiller just to get that edge. I then sanded that down till I got the nice smooth effect, and I think that the ramp looks pretty good now. Quite happy with it. It was an absolute mare to do. So on this side, on the other platform, you'll notice there isn't a ramp. It just goes into what was I had a plan originally to have a bridge across here, but I decided not to bother with it and go ahead. So in the end, that got abandoned. I just used that as though it was an old bridge that's been knocked down. It also meant I didn't have to bother building another one of those annoying little ramps. So I'll just pan around to give you a proper look at the platforms. Now, one of the latest additions to this actual part of the layout were the yellow lines on the edge, the yellow warning lines, which passengers have to stand behind. I was trying to find a decent solution for doing this. I thought about masking it and painting it, but it was just too much of a job to think about doing it, and I couldn't be bothered, to be perfectly honest, so it got left out for a while. I then spoke to Justin at modelrailwayscenery.com, who managed to come up with these self-adhesive strips. So they're actually yellow vinyl. They're very good. You just layer them onto the platform, stick them down, and they've stuck down beautifully. So these went up in January. There's been some fluctuations in temperature since then, and the whole lot has stayed put. Really happy with the way they've worked out. So they're a late addition, but they really do finish off the station. What I'll do now is talk you through some of the various different parts that I've used to actually detail the station. Along here I've just got some ratio platform fencing. Now this was the late addition as well. I decided eventually that, because this used to be platform 1, platform 2 and platform 3, but in the end I decided I wanted to have this area here as a freight loop, so I fenced it off and I just put those fences on there. I looked around for various different solutions for fencing, and these were the ones that I came up with. I thought they were pretty good. So that's that first part of the platform furniture. I got this little platform shelter here. That's a Hornby bus stop. I've painted that up using Arriva green. I've also, you'll notice, used that Arriva green to detail some of the lamp posts, etc., the chairs, etc. too. Now, the people that you see on the platforms are nearly all from the Bachmann Scenecraft range. Now, you can get a lot of budget figures, but I decided not to go with them. I have spent quite a bit of money on the figures that are on this platform, but I think it does make a hell of a difference. The quality of the figures that the Bachmann Scenecraft range produce is fantastic. You can get up close to them and you can really see the detail. I know you can get bags of billions of people from China for about £3, but on the platform I wanted something that you could actually see. You can see the detail of up close. Now I have used some of these Chinese figures elsewhere on the layout, which I'll show you in just a little bit. The next thing I want to talk to you about is the lights that I've used. Now these lights are actually DCC concept lights. Now these lights have been on here for ages. They're LED lights, and I've noticed that these seem to have been introduced into the Gauge Master range at a significantly lower price than I paid for the DCC concepts version. I decided that I would splash out on proper decent LED lights just because they really do finish off the platform area of the layout. Originally I had Gauge Master ones that had these little grain of wheat bulbs in, and they were a bit naff. They were cheap. They looked cheap, and obviously the bulbs kept blowing, so I decided I was best off just to dump them, and I've gone for these lights throughout. So I got double lights here, single lights here, and then there is one double light at the far end, you'll see. And the only reason that's there is because I ran out of the single lights and I didn't want to buy another pack of single lights just to light up that little bit of the platform. So that's there. Maybe it looks a bit silly, but whatever, I reckon it does the trick. No worries at all. Other things on the platform that you notice, these have come out of these station clocks have come out of the Bachmann station modern image station detailing pack. I've created a frame for them to sit on and just stuck those on, painted it all up in the Arriva green colour. Chairs again, Bachmann Scenecraft, painted up and customised in the green colours. There's a little bin there, that's a Hornby bin, painted in Arriva green. That's a Hornby bin, not painted in Arriva green. It's just the standard stuff. So looking at this stuff here, I won't talk you through too much of the products I've used. Station furniture, it's all pretty common stuff. The one of the things I have made myself here is just this little, what's it called, timetable board and destination board. So the next real point of interest to talk to you about is the retaining wall that runs along the back of the layout. This is made out of foam board. Now the foam board has been wrapped in, it's like a brick texture paper. Now I put this brick texture paper together myself in Adobe Photoshop and InDesign, a combination thereof, and I've added graffiti and things onto it, and I weathered it digitally on the computer. Now in my background I trained as a graphic designer, so it's proved quite useful when doing stuff for the layout. These little signs here, I produce all of these myself, so they're like the proper Arriva signs. I just copy from the prototype and build them myself. The billboards across the back, again, these are all pieces of artwork that I've taken from the internet myself, and then I've scratch built the billboards. These are all done to scale. These are all scaled down. I think they're like 32 sheet billboards, maybe 36. I can't remember exactly, but they're done to scale. So there's a plasticard backing. I've made a frame out of plasticard, and I've actually got the image then, it's stuck on there. These have all been printed on gloss photo paper. I've gone over with a matte varnish, so the advantage of printing on the gloss photo paper is that it gives that lovely crisp finish, but then you matte over it so it's not too fluorescent and twinkly. So I've got this poster here, which is quite a controversial one, caused a lot of a stir in the media. A nice sporty Ford Focus there, one for the London Tattoo Convention, one for, this is a poster for the Grand National, and then that one is a KFC poster because I like eating KFC because I'm a fat boy. So track work and track detailing next I'm going to talk to you about. You have to bear with me now, you are being held freehand as I can't get my tripod over to the angle that I want to take these shots. So the track is all Pico Code 100, it's all ballasted with Gauge Master N-Gauge ballast, which I think gives a really nice finish. It's all been hand weathered using my airbrush throughout. I'll just show you some of the details that I got on the track itself. So I've got some AWS ramps there, which I think are pretty cool. Now these aren't the Pico ones, they're ones that I got from my local model shop that have been 3D printed, so I quite like those. You've got the ubiquitous orange tube with a bit of cable running through the track there. Got little bits of weed growing up the side of the platform as well. pretty much gives you the idea of what I've done for the track. And just coming to this side, as I mentioned earlier, this is a goods loop, so I've used a fair bit of static grass on here just to try and give an overgrown look, make it look a little bit more unruly and unkempt compared to the other areas of the layout. And at the end of the platform I've just carried on that static grass theme, and there's a little bit of cable trunking, so that pretty much tells you what I've done with the track itself. I'm quite pleased with this. I think it's quite effective. I experimented with quite a few different types of ballast. I keep coming back to this form. I think it looks quite smart. I find that 00 gauge ballast tends to look a bit over the top. It's a bit too big, a bit too chunky, and this stuff sits quite nicely. You compare this to pictures of the real thing, and I think the sizing's about right. Areas of the ballast where I've got thinner areas and there's not actually been fully ballasted, there's sand, little bits of sand in there just to provide ground cover as well. So the last major area of the station that we need to discuss is this station building. This station building has been entirely scratch built by myself, so I'll just talk you through the idea of what it is and what it's supposed to be in case you can't tell. I've got a canopy here. I just thought this was pretty cool. Nice little modern touch there. It makes it look quite sleek and modern. Now originally I was going to have staircases coming down onto the platform through this roof, but they proved quite tricky to build. Now I could probably get something 3D printed nowadays, but at the time I was building this I didn't want to. I've just gone for lift towers, which I think are pretty good, to be fair. I've done these out of plasticard. This is all plasticard down the bottom there, hand painted, weathered. Again, this has all been very lightly weathered. Now, some of you may have seen that this layout was in Hornby magazine. There was a feature in it last year, and if you have a look at this video, pictures in this video versus pictures in the layout in the magazine, you notice that there's a few different changes. You'll notice that these lift towers are different. I changed these because I didn't like the way they showed up in the pictures in Hornby magazine. Unfortunately that's just the way it is. I looked at them and I thought, oh no, they bug me, so I changed them just to improve them. Obviously we mentioned earlier that this is now a goods loop, this line here. So there's a couple of little changes that I've made. So on the side of the station again, we've got little British Rail symbols. I think they look pretty cool. I just did those again on a combination of Photoshop and InDesign, mounted those on plasticard, painted around the edges red, just to give it that 3D sort of feel. The station building itself has been entirely scratch built. Now, look, I'm not the best scratch builder in the world, and this station building could be a hell of a lot better, but it's okay. It's okay for what I want. It represents a modern looking station with a big glass front, and that's the kind of feeling I was going for. I wanted it to look quite clean and sleek. I've been through quite a few different station buildings for this layout. The one that was the predecessor to this was just a normal, what was it called? It was just a Bachmann. I think it was the Art Deco station building. It looked alright, but it was the same as everybody else's. I wanted something a bit different, so I changed it. Now what I'm going to try and do is get up a bit closer to the station building so you can see inside it and hopefully get some ideas of what I've done with that. So this is the station building. As I mentioned, it's not the best scratch build you're ever going to see in your life, and it certainly doesn't look anything special from the side, but I'll just show you how I've built this so that I could, it's sort of quite modular, so I could take it apart. I've got this roof detail section here that comes off, and we've got these little bike shed bits, they come away there. And then the actual station building itself, ooh, it comes off. I say it comes off, there you go. It comes off, so this is an entirely independent unit. I don't know if you can really see that, but that's an entirely independent unit that just sits on the top. Just put that down somewhere. And then you've got the detail inside the station. So I'm going to pick up the camera now, take it off the tripod and try and get a bit closer in on that. And this is where I've used the little cheap Chinese figures that I told you about. The Chinese figures I decided were just ideal for in here because you can't really see, when the glass is on, you can't really see in much detail exactly what's in there. I've created a ticket office myself here. It's not Again, it's not super detailed. I've got a basic representation of computer screens there. I've got the little guy in there and all the branding on it. The Arriva branding is all stuff that I've knocked together on Photoshop. But it's not based on any particular station, as it were. I've just taken inspiration from Arriva stations I've seen. Let's quickly zoom around here. I've got an Arriva fence, as it were, separating you from once you come through the ticket barriers. The ticket barriers are scale model scenery ones, and there's just a waiting area over there. We've got a few people sat down waiting for their trains, loving life, and we've got some ticket machines over there. So that's basically the inside of the station. So that's the station all put back together then, or the station building put back together. As I mentioned, with this, the little Chinese figures inside there, they do a trick for inside the station. Out the front of the station, we've got a bus stop. Detail wise on the front of the station, I haven't really done anything with it. And the reason I haven't done anything with it, I'll show you now. Again, we're freehand at the minute, so you have to bear with me. Is because this is the viewing area for the layout. You're not going to get round there, you're not going to get round the front of that unless anybody shoves a camera behind there, which hopefully they don't and won't. But yeah, you get the idea. So that's the station area. So hopefully that gives you a fairly decent overview of the station and the steps I've taken to make it. I think it's come together quite nicely. If you've got any questions about what I've done, or have any comments that you'd like to make, just let me know and I'll try and get back to you. I think I've tried to cover off as much as I can in this video regarding the actual station itself. I think the only thing I haven't really mentioned is the canopy and what that's made of. So the frame in the canopy is just made from wood, and the top plasticard. So what I think I'll do now, I'm going to leave you with a few shots of trains running through the station, just so you get the full effect of what I've tried to achieve. I'll leave you with the running shots. Thanks for watching the video, and I look forward to speaking to you all again soon.